Is the focus for this Lenten season. And again, today we are on the journey with Jesus, drawing ever closer to Jerusalem. And today, again, is a story, a long story, so get ready. Another story of Jesus's encounter with someone on the margins, and the impact of that encounter and the lesson he is going to teach his disciples and us as well. Today we read from the 9th chapter of John's Gospel, the entire chapter, chapter 9, verses 1 through 41. Hear now the word of God. Walking down the street, Jesus saw a man born blind. His disciples asked him, "Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, causing him to be born blind?" Jesus said, "You're asking the wrong question. You're looking for someone to blame. There is no such cause and effect here. Look instead for what God can do." We need to be energetically at work for the one who sent me here. We need to be about doing our work while the light of the world is here, while the sun shines. When night falls, the workday is over. For as long as I am in the world, I am the light of the world. I am the world's light. Jesus said this, went over to the man, and then spit in the dust, made a paste with the saliva, rubbed the paste on the blind man's eyes, and said, "Go, wash at the pool of Siloam." The man went and washed, and he saw. Soon the entire town, the entire area was buzzing. His relatives and those who year after year had seen him and known him as a blind man who was a beggar were saying, "Isn't this the guy we knew? Isn't this the one who sat here day after day and begged?" Others said, "Oh, it's him, all right." But others objected. "It's not him. It's not the same man at all. It just looks like him." The man said, "No, it's me, the very one, the one who used to beg and now sees." They said, "If it's you, then how did your eyes get opened?" The man said, "A guy named Jesus spit on the ground, made the mud, and then rubbed that on my eyes and told me to go to the pool at Siloam and wash my eyes. I did what he said, and when I washed, I saw." "So where is this man?" "I don't know." They marched the man to the Pharisees, those called by the indigenous peoples the separated ones. This day when Jesus made the paste and the mud that healed the blindness of the man, the day was the Sabbath. The Pharisees grilled Jesus again on how he did this. Then they grilled the man even more, saying, "How did he come to see?" The man said again, "This guy spit in the mud, made a paste, and put it on my eyes, told me to go wash. I washed, and now I see." One of the Pharisees said, "Obviously, this man who healed this guy and healed on the Sabbath, why, he doesn't keep the Sabbath. He can't be of God." Others countered, "Well, how do you think that's so? How can someone who is not of God do such miraculous things?" And there was a division in their ranks. They came back again to the blind man, the man who was born blind, and said, "You're the expert. You know best. He opened your eyes. What do you say about him?" The man said, "I think he is a prophet." The Jews, the Pharisees, they didn't believe it. They would not believe that the man was blind to begin with. So they went and called the parents of the man, who was now bright-eyed with sight. And they asked the man's parents, "Is this your son, the one who you say was born blind? So how is it that now he sees?" His parents said, "We know he is our son, and we know he was born blind. We know and can attest to this, but we don't know. We don't know how he came to see. We haven't a clue about how and who opened his eyes. Why don't you ask him? He would know best. He's a grown man, and he can speak for himself. So the Pharisees called the man back another time, the man who had been born blind, and told him, "Give credit to God. We know this guy, he's an imposter." The man replied, "I know nothing about that thing one way or another, but I do know one thing for sure. I once was blind, but now I see." They said, "What did he do to you? How did he open your eyes?" The man born blind, who now with sight, said, "I've told you over and over and over and over again, and you haven't listened. Why do you need to hear it again? Are you so eager to become his disciples?" That really ticked off the Pharisees, and they jumped all over him. "You might be a disciple of that man, but we're disciples of Moses. We know for sure that God spoke and worked through Moses, but we have no idea about this guy. We have no idea who he is and where he comes from." The man replied, "This is amazing. It's amazing to me. You claim to know nothing about this man, but the fact is, I once was blind and now I see. The fact is, this man opened my eyes. It is well known that God isn't at the beck and call of sinners, but listens carefully to anyone and to all who live in reverence and do his will. That someone opened the eyes of a man born blind, it's never been heard of, ever. If the man who opened my eyes, so now I see, didn't come from God, why, if he didn't come from God, he wouldn't have been able to heal me. He wouldn't be able to do anything." The Pharisees, completely enraged, said to the man, "You're nothing but dirt. How dare you take that tone with us?" And they threw him out into the street. Jesus heard that they had thrown him out and went and found the man. He asked him, "Do you believe in the Son of the Human One?" The man said, "Point him out to me, sir, so that I can believe in him." Jesus said, "You're looking right at him. Don't you recognize my voice?" "Master, I believe," the man said, and fell down and worshiped Jesus. Jesus then said these words to all that were surrounding him. "I came into the world to bring everything into the clear light of day, making all distinctions clear, so that those who have never seen will see, and those who have made a great pretense of seeing and knowing everything will be exposed as being blind and being frauds." Some Pharisees overheard what he was saying and said, "Does that mean that you're calling us frauds and that we're blind?" Jesus said, "If you were really blind, you would be blameless. But since you claim to see everything so well and claim to know everything so deeply, you are accountable. You're accountable for every fault and failure." This is the word of God for we, the people of God. Thanks be to God. The lead character, the focal point of this story, to which Jesus is kind of a second act in this, the main character who takes center stage is a guy born blind, a beggar. And of course, as it seems to happen in these stories, we don't know his name. We only know that Jesus healed the man, and he who once was blind now sees. And that becomes the central point of this story. Those who claim to see and claim to know everything are found out to be truly blind and to not see. The Gospel of John really focuses on the gift of light. John will hammer that metaphor from beginning to end of his gospel. It is this Gospel of John that starts the gospel with that beautiful poetic opening that this Jesus who is born and comes into the world, that he is the light of the world. The light of the world that shines in the darkness, and the darkness will never, ever overcome it. And in this passage, this long story that we have just read, the disciples totally miss the moment at hand. They're focused on what caused the man to be born blind. Who sinned? Totally wrong focus, wrong question. And Jesus offers these words to the disciples then and now. Focus not on who sinned. Focus on the acts you are seeing done before you. And Jesus says we need to be energetically at work for the one who sent me here. We need to be working while this light is in the world. As long as I am in the world, there is plenty of light. We work in the midst of the light. The idea of working and focusing and the gift of sight. When I was a kid, and my parents got me this so I could kind of be just as cool as my older siblings, the first subscription I ever got in my life, the first magazine subscription, was the magazine Highlights. Some of us of an age will say, oh yeah, Highlights, we know that. I loved that book, loved it. And if it wasn't a cool thing then, they were onto something. Highlights, would you look at a picture and say, find the fox, find the flower, and you'd be like, oh, and you'd circle it, was great. Well, that seemed to hit well because those here gathered, you might know that theme as the great I Spy books, yes? Of which there are a ton. The I Spy books, getting nods, and that is too a great book. I confess I bought me some of those as well. I was really into the Highlights thing. And the whole idea, you look at a picture and try to find certain objects and images in the books. And I enjoy watching, like getting the books, so I had to have a cover for my nieces and nephews and put a few aside for me. I loved watching the kids, how they would focus and look to find the object. The total concentration to find the objects. And this whole idea of sight and do you really see and do you really seek and are you really finding? Friends, we are living in interesting times. We are part of a time period which we will not see again. We are living in the midst of an American empire in swift decline. What does that mean? And how do we live into that? This great empire of which we've benefited from and celebrated, it's in serious decline. And what does that mean for the faithful ones, and how do we respond to that? As that's going on, we also are living in a period where the gospel is no longer how we like to learn it and see it. We are indefinitely a post-gospel world. So, are we the ones who really see? Are we taking the time to focus on what is before us? Are we ones who will only believe it when we see it? Or, distinction, are we ones who believe it and then see it? Who believe it and then see it? The Pharisees so turned inward, so focused on themselves and their staying power, they are so threatened by Jesus, they cannot see nor acknowledge the miracle they have seen before their eyes, that Jesus has done, and all the other miracles that they've heard Jesus performing. They are so focused on the threat that Jesus is to them, they cannot see what is before them. And it becomes comical in the story. They keep bringing this poor guy back towards him. They even go get his parents. Even the guy's friends say, are you sure? You kind of look like him, but you can't be. We cannot believe what is right before us. And if we are able to believe it, then we do see it. And the same things that keep the Pharisees and the people in the community from seeing what is before their eyes, it is also so very similar to us. We tend to focus on us. What does this have to do with me? What am I getting out of this? We focus on us and miss the bigger picture. We spend a lot of time navel gazing. Or we think we already know, we got this down, we've heard the story, we know everything. And we learn and we lean into all the labels we attach to everyone and everything. Or we're afraid. We're afraid of what believing in this Jesus and this miracle will ask of us to do in response. Or we tend to use the wrong mirror when we are moving ever forward. A friend of mine is teaching her teenage daughter how to drive and asked me, you want to go out and take her driving once? Because she's driving me bananas. And I said, you sure you want me? Some of you will attest to, they asked me to drive. There wasn't parking involved, don't worry about it. Because I stink at parallel parking. I'll freely admit it. So I'm like, sure, let's go. I'll take her out to see how she does. And I remember when we were driving, the focal point I made was, okay, adjust your mirrors. I channeled my father, who I will confess to you, the last one he took through learning how to drive said to me, you'll never learn how to drive. You don't look in the right mirrors. You're not looking in the right place. You need to look farther down the road. You just look over the hood. I went driving with my father once. He said that. I worked my older brothers to take me driving. So what mirrors do we use to focus? Are we using simply the rear view mirror and looking at what is behind us? Do we tend to use the side mirrors? What's on either side of us? What's on the margins? Or are we looking straight ahead to what is coming down the road for us and with us? In this long story, my favorite verse in this very long story is verse 37. This is when Jesus hears that they had thrown the man out onto the street. And Jesus, being Jesus, goes to find the man whom he has healed. And he goes to the man, and the man is still getting used to this whole sight thing. He's been blind since birth. And Jesus goes up to him and asks him this question: do you believe in the Son of God, in the Son of the human one? And the man, still getting used to this whole sight thing, asked him, well, point him out to me, sir. I love that. Now that he's saying, show me where he is so that I can see him. And Jesus, understanding so deep his understanding that maybe the guy might not yet be good with the vision thing, asks this question: do you recognize my voice? What a great Jesus moment. Might not have the sight down yet, so Jesus said, do you remember my voice? Do you remember me healing you? And Jesus again reiterates the key of this story. I came into the world to bring everything into the clear light of day, making all distinctions clear, so that those who have never seen will see, and those who have made a great pretense of seeing will be exposed as blind. Do you see what I mean? Do you believe and then you see it? Believe it and then you see it. The blind man in this story, whose name we never learn, he, upon being healed and now able to see, he joins a long list of used-to-bes. The entire gathering of Jesus's group are a bunch of used-to-bes. Used to be a fisherman. Used to be paralyzed. Used to be bent over. Used to be unable to stand. Used to be all alone. Used to be very, very frightened. Used to be ignored. Used to be never invited and never included in anything. Used to be on the margins where people labeled me and never noticed. Used to be always angry. Used to be blind. Used to be not considered important or beloved or valued. And to each of these used-to-bes, they are now a whole gathering. Here I am. Here I am. I see, I matter, I am whole, I stand, I speak, I preach, I am. Praise be to God then for this gathering of used-to-bes, and we're part of that gathering too. Used to be. And now through the love of Christ, we are I am. Blessed be God who helps us to believe and then to see it, to believe it and then to see it, to see Jesus in our midst in this community here and in the community surrounding. Jesus is the light that has come into the world so that we may see and that we may shine, and that we too, as a disciple of Jesus, may go forth in all our used to be-ness and now I amness, and go forth and gather in, and shine our light, and light up the shadows. The story is really pretty simple. Do you see what I mean? Do you see what I mean? Thanks be to God. Amen.